Hello, everyone, and welcome to Work to Game. Brian and Chris here. Happy New Year. Happy 2024. Happy pre-FanFest 2024. Launching into, I think, what's going to be an incredible year for gaming, but also I think this is going to be a real exciting year for Final Fantasy 14. We got news. I don't know if you've seen this over on X or Twitter today or the other day. The Xbox beta is kicking off mid-January, so that looks to be January the 16th and going all the way into February. So we could see the Xbox version of this game roll out sometime officially in February or early March. And then it's just, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump to the release of Dawntrail. But we got a lot to talk about today. Chris, how are you doing, dude?
I'm doing good. I actually turned off all social media like December 28th, and I hadn't turned it back on yet. So like I turned back on Discord for the first time today to get the show link, and there were all these messages in there from various people that I chat with throughout the year saying Happy New Year's and how your holidays, and like I just haven't responded to any of. Not to be rude, I just haven't had it open. And then some were like, "Did you see this on Twitter? Did you see this on Twitter?" I was like, "No, because I haven't been on there. Like I'm sure there's good things on there, but I just wanted to have what my objectives are this year and like how I feel about last year." Compartmentalized before I kind of go out. I was listening to a Dr. Huberman podcast while I was running the other day.
That's good.
And he was talking about like as a parent, your job is to kind of stand between your children and the world. Like you're this defense. And like even if you don't do a good job defending them, there is something psychologically about being the kid in that case of knowing there's somebody trying to stand in front of you. Somebody's trying to be a shield. And when it comes to social media, there is no shield. And so like, it just like when he phrased it like that, it made me think like there is nothing healthy about social media. That being said, thank you, like and subscribe. But
speaking of amazing people who aren't addicted to social media,
there is no shield. Like there's a lot of good things on there.
Yeah.
But you are your own shield. And so I just haven't been on Twitter, not because there's not good things and there aren't people that I'm excited to go back to engaging with their content, but I wasn't ready to engage until I feel like I have 2024 shield up. Like, what are my goals? What am I trying to get out of the year? So that when I go back on that, I know when I've let some feed or reel or whatever a platform wants to call it is just spinning me into a rabbit hole. Because like already I have been still engaging in some YouTube videos. Already I'm noticing YouTube shorts are like, they're like every third line. And like every once in a while I click on one and like, I can already feel like YouTube shorts feel like they're injecting Twitter into because I'll click on one and it'll be like, Brian laughing with some guy. And then there'll be another one. They're like, have you seen this waterfall in some model railroad? And I'm like, ooh. And then they're like, have you seen Donald Trump? And I'm like, oh,
they got you.
You got me. You got me. What was I thinking? Clicking on a gamer laughing and then a model railroad. And now there's Nikki Haley or whatever. It's like,
they got you.
I wasn't ready. So
that's so funny. That's so funny. What thought on that though is it's good to have balance when it comes to social media for sure. And it's addictive nature. But the thing that you bring up with shorts is really fascinating. I don't know if you've been watching Matt Pat. He went into a great video recently about how YouTube shorts have been changing kind of the YouTube culture. Because one of the things about shorts, TikToks, reels, exactly whatever we're calling these things, is that it isn't actually about establishing any kind of community or really who the creator is, because there's 1,000 million other shorts.
Him and Hank Green are just becoming like the old hermit at the top of a mountain that you like hike up to get the wisdom. Like they're not, I think, innovating in the same way that they were earlier in their career, but they are ready to like foster. They are looking out over the whole land and saying, here's what's happening. Like, I'm not in charge. Here's what's happening. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a great video. I liked it because it is true, because it's like, we do the shorts thing here on the channel. We take the podcast, break it all up into shorts, and some shorts go insane, do really great numbers, and some don't. And
those numbers are so hard to see, by the way. Every once in a while I click on it, I was like, this is so great. I wonder how it's doing. There's no way to know. Like, there's no way to, like, when I get
Yeah.
shown something, sometimes I'm like, I don't even like this. Am I
Right.
being shown this because they've already shown it to 14 million people and they're just trying everybody? Or am
Yeah.
I like number 6 and they're just trying stuff out? Like, I'm just trying to get to know the platform. And I look on, I can't see, not quickly or easily, I can't see likes, dislikes, views. And in the process of me looking for those stats, I know I'm giving that short like 27 plays. So I'm just making it worse because
Yeah.
there's no pause button. I was like, no, I just want to engage in it as like an analysis. I actually really did not enjoy what I watched.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't know. Like,
and if I
Pandora
engage
back in
with
the day
this
used to
even
have this,
more,
like,
it's only promoting it further.
Pandora used to have this like 3 dots that you could click and be like, why was this song suggested? Because you'd be listening to like 2 Olivia Rodrigo songs, and then like, you know, one of the handsome little pop boys would sing you some stuff. And then for any of you that are like me still using Pandora because you won't make the full move to Spotify or whatever I'm supposed to be using.
You're still on Pandora. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
cute.
I'm aware that
That's
should give me like a
precious.
senior discount at buffets. But like the reason I can't listen to Pandora like at work. So when they were setting up like at work, they're like, hey, anybody can link their phone. You can put your Pandora on. They're like, oh, Chris, do you want to put your Pandora on? No, because mine will be like 3 pop songs, 2 country songs, a Michael Bublé song where he's
There
like singing big band.
Got to get that bubble.
And then there will be some dark gangster rap that just opens with 20 words I don't say or think or hear. And it's like, how fast can I like get to my phone? I'm like, shut it off. And then I thumbs it down and they're like, that's cool. We'll try again in an hour.
See, I have a completely different struggle because like they added a new feature over to Spotify. It's called DJ, and my kids will get a hold of my Spotify. So it's like, we see that you really enjoyed, Waffle Town by the Kaboomers, and I'm like, no,
maybe
like,
that would get the hardcore dark gangster rap. Like, I appreciate that is an art form that is
just
for
gotta let
people
your
going through
nephew or
something
niece,
that is not my life experience. And so like, I respect it as music. It's not what the like pop station that I have is supposed to be about.
Exactly.
By the time I get on Spotify, my neighbors are like 25. And by the time I get on Spotify, they're going to be like, what's Spotify? They're always how I know, because I finally went to I bought some new joggers, and they have, there's like elastic at the ankle. And so it's like having a toddler like choke out your foot. Yeah. And I hate it. And I wore them outside the other day to get the mail. And my neighbor goes, oh, you look nice. I like your new joggers. And I was like, I hate these. And she's like, no, they're nice. They're like dad pants. They're like 5 years ago. So it's like, I just now caught up to be out of date again. So I had to get new pants for work. And the lady at the store, she's like, what do you think? I was like, I'm a guy in the second half of his 30s. It doesn't matter what I think. Like, it doesn't. Just tell me that I look appropriate, and I'm just going to trust you blindly, because I don't know. And by the time I do know, I don't know again.
It's so funny to me that your shorts feed like leads to Trump. My shorts feed I have to be very careful of, because it always seems to lead to hot girl obviously doing something, and it's like I gotta swap, real quick to get off that, because I don't want nothing but
here's what there is right now. Okay. Hank Green, One of Us,
yes,
Will Ferrell eating some wings.
Good, that's awesome.
And then Jordan Klepper talking to Trump fans.
Yeah, there it is.
We go again. There's some guy doing some goofy thing on a pull-up bar. Ricky Gervais doing something I assume is fantastic. Some motorcycle sailing over a cliff.
Yeah.
Some molten ball clicking on Ice Cube, which I kind of want to stop the video and click on that.
Yeah, we're gonna take a pause, guys. React to TikToks.
And then we'll scroll down until the next one. And I promise it's gonna be, yep. Knowing psychopaths, Trump loyalty not to. What are you doing? Yeah. What are you doing?
That's it's funny.
Every 5th video is just like, well, now that you feel good and you've been intellectually stimulated, you've laughed a little, you've thought human beings do wonderful things with motorcycles or bicycles or whatever, we just want to make you a little angry for a while.
Got to bring a little bit of that pumpkin spice into your life. on
we can
on the
detect
daily.
you've been having a really great day, and we are here to correct it.
Yeah, it's all about that balance. That's the short speeds is all about that balance. The have you started getting like advertisements for like Viagra and Blue Chew and like all of those things like yet? I was telling Julie about this because I was like, I keep seeing those and I'm like, guys, I got 6 kids, like chill. Can I put that into my bio so that I don't get these types of ads? If I hit that
you probably
age,
Googled some question about testosterone or something.
probably.
And then
I just thought it was an age thing. Like, oh, you're getting up there. It's time to.
Haven't yet.
Let me know if that's.
I'm still on the other end. I'm still getting flagged about like dating apps.
Okay. Oh, see, that's
They're like, you'll find somebody.
I do think it's like, what? I'm married.
No, we think you're great.
Yeah.
Somebody will like you. I hope so.
What was that, like Angie's List or something like that, where it was like for like extramarital affairs? Like they start like advertising that, like, you know what? Maybe you need a side piece besides your marriage.
Some of those
happily
were really
married.
vindictive when those were coming out. They were like over 51% of people have admitted having an affair, and so it was like this implication of like, you better cheat before your wife does. It's like, well, what is happening? Like, what is this marketing plan? Don't trust anybody, especially not your spouse.
Yeah,
it's like, stop advertising this to me. Stop. You're just making my whole day worse.
Happily married? Want to change that? Oh, so funny, dude. What a great kickoff to 2024. Guys,
things are going great.
Yeah, things are going great.
Happy.
But there's some confusion. There's a little bit of confusion.
Espresso machine for Christmas, so I am wildly overcaffeinated.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any pivot from caffeinated to confused about the FanFest dates. It's in the pre-show before we kick this thing off. Both Chris and I were like, is it Friday night or is it Saturday night Central?
I'll be caffeinated and awake both nights because I am not sure.
Now, when we check the YouTube for the official Square Enix schedule,
it's for sure
it has it Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Time,
100%.
Which translates to FanFest in Japan being a Sunday and a Monday,
which has to be right. 100%.
That just boggles my mind. It confuses me to no end. I'm like, so we're
going
to be
all
ready
in on both days.
Yeah, we're going to be ready tomorrow just in case. And we'll be ready Saturday. So hopefully
Saturday's definitely one of the days. It's just either day 1 or day 2.
Right. Yeah. Is it day 1 or day 2? No idea. And it just like the idea that it's going into Monday in Japan. Like, is it a holiday? Like, it's something I'm just not aware of. Maybe chat if they have an idea as to why.
I'm still showing up tomorrow. Nobody can convince me that I should just rest tomorrow.
Maybe we just do like a show. Is it happening? Like just confirming, just hanging out live. Yeah, that'd be great. But let's talk about some of the upcoming kind of predictions, etc. I put out a little poll on the channel today, asking this question. Let's see here, not F12, F11. There we go.
All right. So we still don't know what the limited job is, right? Unless I'm just an idiot.
We don't know the limited job.
Okay.
We also don't know the official job, and it's weird that we have that kind of going on. So I put out a poll. Weird. Time Mage, Pictomancer, other. Well, not weird in the sense, just more or less meaning that that's the big reveal. That's, I think, the final. We
still have not seen Lady Lions.
Lady Alliance?
Lady Lions?
I don't know what that is.
Female Roth.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was like, Lions, what? I thought you said Alliance first, and I was like, yeah, we know what the Alliance raid is, Chris.
We don't know the name of the raid either.
Yeah. Well, overall, asking the question now in my mind, just because I realized we got a couple of comments that, saying Green Mage or something like that. And absolutely, like in my mind, I think Time Mage, Green Mage, like I think it would be like whether they call it a Green Mage or a Time Mage.
Oh, the name could be all over the place, right? Yeah. Because they've got to come up with a name that can be consistent enough that when it goes through all the different localizations, it makes sense. So like the name could be a totally made up word that's never existed in Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
But is it functionally a Time Mage?
Right. Or as theories present, like Pictomancer, obviously this is building off of still the Ninja Turtles t-shirt from the first FanFest. But yeah, several people. Victor Man says Corsair, which I think that's a stretch as a caster.
But it could happen.
we were thinking it was going to be like Corsair as opposed to Viper, but obviously they announced a new, class that is in this case Viper, which we'll have to see how it plays and if and how it plays differently than Reaper or what else is out there. But where do you fall? Where are you leaning? If you had to pick or make up one, this is for the official.
I'd love to see something more time, and I'd love to see the way it does it is that it applies dots, like things that affect, and so like I don't know if they like build up based on the amount of damage it's taken over that time, or right. And so like we're gonna like repeat what happened to them, so then like everything that happens to them during the burst window gets applied as a dot again, making them like relive through their pain or whatever. I'd love to see it applied as a dot.
What about the limited job?
I would like to see.
Yeah.
And then the limited job for sure. Limited job, I want to be a pet class of some sort. I don't care if it's Puppet Master or Beastmaster or like, I don't care what it is, but I think that pet jobs have been something they've really struggled with in the mainline combat system to balance in a way where it works in solo play and small group play and in raids. And like, it's something that Yoshi P, like he doesn't hate pet classes in RPGs as a whole. He just thinks within core Final Fantasy XIV, it's very hard to keep in line with everything else, which is a growingly hard task. And limited jobs don't have to follow any of those rules. So like, I would love to see the limited job be, okay, well, what would we do if we didn't have to balance that?
Yeah.
Both 2014 and 2016 were Saturday, Sunday. Jordan, it just feels weird. I believe YouTube is right. I believe somebody is paid professionally to set up that event, and that in all likelihood, YouTube is not a gaffe, and that the countdown over on YouTube is the real deal.
Yeah.
I, however, much like a flight that's at 6 a.m. and I'm supposed to get up at 4 a.m., I'm the kind of guy that gets up at 3, just in case. And I have an alarm at 3 and 3:20 and 3:40 and 4. So like, I'll be here tomorrow night at 7. We don't have to go live.
Because now, chat's,
because in my head, I stored it, but that makes sense. Thank you for checking.
Yeah, I really appreciate that, Jordan, for checking. Now, in terms of limited jobs, got a couple comments here from chat right now. Chili saying, Puppet Master, please. But Zoela kind of following it up saying, I will strongly consider quitting the game if they make my favorite job, Beastmaster, limited. I think it's still between these two.
The alternative is that they never do Beastmaster. In reality, if we go back to Yoshi P's statements and we trust that those are still true today, like they were when he made them, which is not always the case. Sometimes things change. That's hardware and software and all that. As they continue to upgrade, sometimes they reverse things that he phrased in the past. But if we assume everything he said in the past, then I would love to see a pet class of some sort. It would be really neat to see it as a Gleaner that is a pet class. Like instead of calling it Beastmaster, call it Gleaner, because that implies that you could go out in the world and poke a master your way, right? And then where does a Gleaner keep him? Do we get some new part of Island Sanctuary that's like set in Labyrinthos and we like keep and raise our pets there? Can we breed them? Can we train them? Like, what was the alternative to Pokemon when we were kids? Monster Rancher?
Was it
Monster
Digimon?
Rancher? No, Monster Rancher. You could like raise your pets and they like aged out, which was awesome. So it'd be like Chocobo Racing meets Pokemon.
Okay. I'm glad somebody in chat agrees with me about Digimon. I was like, Pokemon and Digimon. I was like, a Monster Rancher.
The video game alternative.
Okay, gotcha. Well, I think there was an
alternative. Digimon. I did not play a Digimon video game, but
I didn't play him either. I just knew that I always thought it was a good guess. Kind of knockoff Pokemon version.
I was thinking Pokemon, Monster Rancher game mechanics.
Yeah. We got Fido, thank you so much. Dropping that there is a link in a countdown over on Japanese the FanFest for Tokyo, stating in 2 days and 5 hours.
It's definitely not tomorrow.
Definitely not tomorrow.
I'm still going to be ready tomorrow at 7 because in my head I cannot emotionally get over that.
Yeah. Why would you do Sunday, Monday?
It blows my mind. Is there a cultural reason? Like, do they not have events on Saturdays there? So like here in Texas, there are a lot of things that are closed on Sundays. And so it makes sense when you see certain types of events that are held on Friday, Saturday, because there's still remnants of blue laws here. where like there's certain things that just never seem to take place on Sundays.
Right.
So if there was some sort of event that you said, oh, it's always on a Friday, Saturday because they don't want it to be on Sunday, like that makes sense to me. But so like, am I just missing something? And why have we never noticed this before? I probably have. It's probably every 2 years I go, I'm going to be ready on, I'm going to be ready on Saturday.
So according to the site, we're going to be saying that the official Tokyo Fan Fest is, if you're in Central Time, I'm going to do it Central. We'll do some conversion. That's Saturday at 7 p.m. Central. We're going to be kicking it off early, around 6 p.m. Central Time. So if you're Eastern, that's going to be 7 p.m. If you're California-ish, we'll kick it off when you're here.
Okay, I'll be home about 6:30.
Oh, cool. Then we'll do 6:30. I'll just reschedule it so that way it's not like, hey guys, it's Brian talking about nothing for 30 minutes. The best kind of content that I make. Just all right. Might just jump on, play some Monster Hunter or something like that.
I don't know if you've watched our YouTube content.
Yeah. I actually am a consumer.
30 minutes of us talking about nothing seems like a significant portion of the backlog. Okay. Well, all right. There it is.
Yeah.
Saturday. For sure Saturday.
And then in terms of the jobs, like I really like I'm rooting for Puppet Master to be the entry, but that Beastmaster sounds like it would be phenomenal. Like if you're going around and actually collecting, like the different monsters and then having like, and then some kind of system that allows you to level them up.
Like Blue Mage, right? Like you're going out and capturing them the same way you capture spells. And ideally you're ranking them up. I wish the spells could have been something you ranked up, even if it just changed the cosmetics.
Yeah.
Because what it feels like is once somebody consumed all of the Blue Mage spells and all of the Blue Mage challenges, that outside of fun, they weren't really encouraged to engage with other Blue Mages. And so maybe they help a fellow, like a friend, or maybe they just do it because they feel like it. But and then there's some people who kind of the community created challenges. But I think there could have been a more structured set of continued optional things where they're like, hey, you have all the spells, you're done. But if you want to keep going, there's some additional emotes or spell cosmetics or something you could get. Or even just additional cosmetics in general, because the Blue Mage is very light on glam. So they could go back and like I'd love to see that be something that the next version of Limited Job does a little better in building depth into that system.
Yeah, Zoila kind of follows this up, I think, kind of putting a cap on it, saying that if the open world content wasn't so garbage, there might be less resistance to limited jobs. And when I look at Eureka and Boja and like whatever they, if they decide to bring that content back in, 7.0, like that's where like I think those jobs would also be a lot of fun. Because that does feel like the open world content that Zoila and myself like have stated multiple times that we crave. But that like the fact that they can't go into that content is a little bit like, that's where I get frustrated at the limited system, because I do love that for Blue Mage, it did push me into the open world.
What if they let Beastmasters go into their own shards of Eureka?
That'd be great.
Like imagine it's nothing but Beastmasters. That way the normal Eureka is preserved.
Yeah.
And they're just in Beastmaster.
Would you permit it to be like Beastmaster and Blue Mage, where it's like, here's the limited edition of
limited Eureka.
Limited Eureka, Seems a lot of development work.
It'd be chaos.
Yeah. For me, like I could see immediately the pushback from several in the community where it's like, you wasted resources on this and I can't dye this one piece of gear. For shame.
We're going to 2 dye channels. Chill.
Yeah.
No, the limited job system will always be controversial. Always.
Yeah.
Because I think, first of all, they chose the word limited. Like, I think that was sometimes limited in English means like limited edition. It means special. And sometimes limited means restricted.
Yeah.
And I think they heard it as like when you buy a car that's the limited, they're not trying to tell you your car sucks. They're trying to be like, ooh, it's usually in some silver font and it says limited.
Yeah.
I think that's what they saw. They're like, jobs limited. And now people are like, oh, so limited jobs, they're going to be limited. And then So I think that's just a bummer of a word choice. It's too
I'm
late
just
now.
glad we're
Like,
getting another one.
You can't
Right.
change it now.
You've locked that one in. Well, I mean, they've changed the tribal quests. It used to be beast tribe, like the beast tribes, and now it's like, okay,
And it took them a whole saga to do it. They had to write an entire storyline to undo that.
See, yeah, it take a lot of work. It's like, and now we're not limited,
and
because
they wrote over squadrons with trusts, and they wrote over trusts with duty support.
Oh, Rin, be still my heart, says Yoshi P has also alluded to deep dungeon changes, so maybe some changes to allow Blue Mage and Beastmaster. Yes, like I would say that if there was like concerns for it, you just say, okay, you're not going to be on the score or something like, or it's its own scoring system, just like with
absolutely.
Yeah, that way it's like, absolutely. Yeah, okay, you want to go and be ridiculous, like, just let people play with the system.
Let that one clear for time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, see how fast you can do it. Like, that's the speed run, baby.
Just change it up. We know you're going to the top. How fast are you doing it?
How fast can you get to the top? That would be wild, dude. That'd be so exciting to see, because from a speedrunning perspective, there is a speedrunning Final Fantasy XIV community. It's hell of a lot of fun. That's actually one of the things that, like, when we were going into Endwalker, I was like, what do I want to do? It's like, I'm going to see if I can't speed run some of these dungeons, just for the hell of it. And it was fun. It was challenging, especially trying to do that on a controller, because it's like, all right, there's certain abilities that if you want, but it ultimately, the thing that was the biggest disappointment was, it was like, you have to be ninja, because ninja has that, like, that teleport. So you just got to keep like pushing yourself further and further down the road. But I do want to try it with Scholar at some point. I think that's going to be interesting with their increase in speed boost that they got this last expansion. I'll be curious to see what job changes also are on the table. We talked about the jobs. We talked about the limited jobs. Chris, what, if anything, are you expecting out of this FanFest? Is there any surprises? We're going to see the release date. Like, what do you think is the big, like, thing that's going to get people hyped?
Because it's summer, there is a very real, historically, we would get a release date. But remember, historically, the gap between the 0.5 and 0.55 is never this long. Mm-hmm. So just remember, there is a chance to emotionally prepare yourself that there won't be a date. They could do a date. Like, we believe there will be a date, but they may not. They may just do a date for the, like, tech demo thing, the computer test, or something like that. The media tour, if they choose to do one this time, has historically been about a month before launch. So that's a ways out before we'll find out anything about what that looks like. And then that has an embargo date, so you never really find out until, like, all the stuff launches. And then the thing that I think is missing is the big lifestyle content.
Oh, okay. But it's multiplayer lifestyle.
Island Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And then like, I would love to see them kind of clarify, if they're willing to, this stuff about, like, the relic. Mm-hmm. And so, like, what are we doing in the downtime?
Yeah.
What are we doing when we're logged in?
Yeah.
And complaining that there's nothing to do? Like, what is actually taking place? Because you're doing something. Mm-hmm. And so different expansions, and at different points in different expansions, that have been different things. And I feel like that's a gap in what we know so far. Finding out the raid name, sure. Finding out the other zone names, sure. But like Zoila pointed out, like, unless there's something drastic changing, the zones themselves are only fun while they feel new. Mm-hmm. After that, they lose a lot of their initial buzz. It just doesn't hold. Like, I don't find myself after a long day wanting to go log into Labyrinthos. When they first announced it, and then when I was going through the story and I found out what it was and where it was and what it meant, I was really excited. But now it's like, it's just another zone. But what is Island Sanctuary moving forward? What is Relic moving forward? Is there anything new? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I think is missing as far as going beyond what we expect. Like, finding out the new class name doesn't, you kind of noted, it doesn't really tell us anything until we actually go hands-on.
Well, that's where, like, when they have the job skill overview, the media tour, those are the events that really drive a lot of like the detail things. So no matter what, like they're like predicting there will be people who will be disappointed because they did not get enough information because there's still events on the horizon.
Yeah.
That's a guarantee.
There's still
Ren's,
patches.
yeah,
Like,
Ren's,
we're
yeah.
not even done getting content.
Ren's prediction is that the Square Enix store is going to be imploding this weekend because they probably will drop the collector's edition pre-orders for Dawntrail. And I wonder though, because if that's going, I think if they're going to do that, I think we're going to have to get some they're going to have to give clarification on how they're going to roll this game out on Xbox, because we know that January the 16th, unless something weird happens between now and then, we're going to be able to have the open beta for the Xbox. I will be stepping into that. And for those of you who like have been, away for a while, I saw some chat saying, hey, glad to see us talking about Final Fantasy 14 again. I was going to highlight it, but I lost the comment. I apologize. But like I officially won't be playing like Dawntrail until I'm below 210 pounds. Last year, I lost 50 pounds. I'm feeling really good. This year, I need to lose another, I think 50 to 60 pounds to fall below that marker. So
summer? How many do you lose a week?
I don't know. Well,
I'm 2 a week.
I'm trying for 5 a month. And so it's like I'm not trying to like be unhealthy about it. Like I've been very like exercise, eating, making sure I eat and things like that. So I'm not starving myself. But yeah, and if that happens by summer, cool. If not, I'll be late to the party. But that's something that is important for me, and taking care of my kids and my family is like, this is I'm like, I know this is death trap. Like walking around with this excess weight is not ever been shown to be like, yeah, that was a good life, healthy choice. But just that for everybody who's just curious, but I will be testing out the Xbox version of this game because it feels like I can't pass that up. I think that's perfectly acceptable. It's not a return, if you will, but it is something I'm very much excited to actually unlock these damn achievements, man. Like oh man, like I got them on the PlayStation. I just want to see that achievement unlocked. I'm a nerd. It is what it is.
Cool. How many what are your other goals for this year? Like if Final Fantasy is delayed, what else are you working on?
So overall, like I guess just, and I'm gonna be putting up a video on Ginger Prime about this maybe next week, where I do a deep dive in all my 2023 stats, wild numbers too. In fact, just to kind of give a preview, my goal, it's so funny to say it out loud, but my goal for 2024 is to make less content, but make way more higher quality content. So the discussion videos that I tend to run, well, it's actually just like spending way more time scripting, way more time gathering assets, whether it's like a clip from a content creator. And
those numbers you track? Like, do you track
you could track.
Here's the do you track your like time worked on each video?
No, I don't bother with that. Okay. This is just I'm just a hobbyist when it comes to I produce a lot, but it's still
I'm just a hobbyist runner, and I can tell you exactly how many miles I've run this year and what my goal is for the year. So like I'm a number.
The goal will be to release like a video essay like once a week, where it's just like a real I put out like discussion videos. I could do 2 discussion videos, and the idea is like, let me just condense that and try to make it something a little bit more enjoyable to watch, enjoyable to listen to, like scripted with even counterpoints. 52 essays. And then still going to be covering the video game news that I care about. That's just standard stuff. But the nice thing is like, if there isn't news, like, okay, then I'm going to work on some scripts, and then a live stream. I think I've been enjoying doing kind of a Sunday afternoon live stream. If you guys are curious, we can stream everywhere, which is great. Kind of like plugging away. I'm going to be playing some Star Citizen this year. Going to be playing some New World, but just started. I picked up Monster Hunter World because it was $8 on Steam, which was like, I was like, okay, all right.
Don't lose money.
Yeah, I don't want to light $8 on fire. I better give it over here. That's going to protect that investment. And so that's one aspect of it. But it's like numbers wise, to say kind of like how wild last year was for like the Ginger Prime category was, I gained 36,772 subscribers and I lost 11,332. And this is across like all of the channels that are partnered. So this doesn't account, some of my, test case exam, like little test channels, etc. And it's interesting to see the impact that shorts have had over the last year and more. So I'm gonna sit down and and also we've entered in pre-production on my video game. And so I'm going to be plugging away with that, and I'll be giving you guys updates along the way about that game as it gets ready. We hope to enter in production early 2025. But yeah, it's going to be freaking crazy. It's going to be a really good year, especially if I can get this like monkey off my back and finally, be at my normal, a good healthy BMI. I think that's going to help, just overall with every aspect and facet. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking for the year. New World I'm really excited about the changes. It's been really great to see so many people come over to the game and check it out and really like see how some things are going. Controller support should be officially dropping in the PTR maybe in the next couple of weeks, or if not in February. And I'm wondering if that officially rolls in with season 5 in the spring, which I think it's just gonna make life so much easier for people who want to enjoy that game.
It is a male proboscis monkey that weighs 50 pounds. It's one of the largest in the world.
I got to lose one of those.
You got to lose one of those.
A male proboscis monkey. There it is. How about you? Like, what are your thoughts and plans going into this year? We've talked a little bit about it offline, but for everybody here who's listening.
No. So 6 months ago, I got offered a job that I was not looking for. And I took it, and it took me out of full-time content creation. And I work in the office 36 hours a week. And I thought in my head, I was like, 36, that's like half the time I spend on content creation. So I'll still have all this time. But by the time you put in commuting, and now I have to like do things like prepare lunches and stop by the dry cleaners and, keep my car clean, and all these other things, like, it's taking a lot more time, and so it definitely helps kind of remind me why some of you guys talk about how it's so hard to find time to game, because you only have the same 168 hours a week no matter how you use it. And if you want to do something different, next month, next year, or whatever, you're still just at 168 hours a week. So something has to give if you're trying to create more time for something else. I would like to, so last year my goal was to consume 12 books, and I consumed 13.
Oh, nice.
And so this year I would like to consume 18 books. And last year they were a lot about like how to better use your time and like how to improve like your mental health and your physical health, and just some things that would help give me kind of some perspective. And so every other book was on personal development and on professional development. And I just went back and forth. So the whole year was one fantasy book, and then the rest was invested in like getting me where I want to be, which is a journey each person has to take for themselves. And this year I'd like to focus on shifting that a little to consuming World of Warcraft lore, because while everybody here is a Final Fantasy fan, if you want to be a World of Warcraft fan, you can't actually learn the game from playing the game. And so not because I want to read those books, but because I'd like to know World of Warcraft lore now that I know Final Fantasy lore, and the best way to do that is to read books. So I'd like to start knocking those down. There's like 42 in total, and there's 3 expansions in front of them. So I figure if I can knock down maybe 6 or 7 of those and then keep the self-improvement going. On a physical health standpoint, last year I ran my first 10K, my first half marathon, and my first full marathon.
Way to go.
I'm officially down at the weight where I want to be. I wouldn't mind like another 5, but now we're getting into like dream weight. Like I'm at target weight. I'm perfectly content. 5 pounds less than this is like pristine. And because I think like my A1C and all that has kind of settled, and my workouts have kind of settled, I really feel like I eat whatever I want now. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people hear that as I eat whatever they want, and that's not true. They're like, oh, I would eat a pizza and half a gallon of ice cream if I get. Well, that's not what I want anymore. Like what I want has shifted. So I find if I haven't had like a good, nice, rich salad in a couple days, like that's something I crave. And a lot of salad is kind of like scotch. If you don't like salad, it's probably because you haven't found the right salad. Like, like for me, it's about like what all's in there, not just the green stuff. Like there's all these other things that can go into a salad that can become like a really great experience.
Yeah. I love salads. In fact, one of the things that I've been getting into is I've been making caprese salads. So it's like
Sure.
mozzarella, tomato, and we use cucumber, basil, and then a little bit of olive oil and a little bit of balsamic salt, pepper, and it's just, dude, it's
Mine's a good cob.
a good
So
cob.
a
Yeah.
really nice bacon made within the last couple days, crumbled up on there, some seasoned, brined, and fresh grilled chicken broken up on there, some boiled egg, and then just things like sunflower seeds, craisins, croutons, and that can really carry. And then like like a really nice honey mustard dressing.
Oh, dude, I miss honey mustard, man. I miss honey mustard. The
I can't do dairy, so
about,
everything's either mayo based or avocado based if I want something creamy.
Yeah. The thankfully I don't have that problem. It's like I love my cheese. One of the things that chat was talking about is Yoshi P was over on Limbs de la Menza, and he gave off an interview, and Game Rants has this article. But ultimately, to summarize it, things that are coming to the game after, let's jump around, after the release of Dawntrail, he's like new housing exteriors, visible headgear for Hrothgar and Viera, more inventory spaces and glamour plates, field content like Eureka and Boja. So that's really good to see that. Now, I hope that is also not in then sacrificing a deep dungeon, unless they're going to go to this pattern where it's like every other expansion gets a deep dungeon, every other expansion gets a Boja. I would really love to see them.
It would make people mad, but I think it would be nice. Like if that's what's sustainable, sometimes it's just nice to know what's happening.
Yeah.
Like,
and go ahead.
You know, like then you just know, okay, well, this is the expansion that I'll focus on my side content. This is the expansion that I'm going to focus on, like leveling up my other jobs and getting into ultimates or whatever. And you can just kind of like, there are people who consume everything, and to those people, like there's no satisfaction. And, that's the downside of that. But,
yeah, here's nice. Thank you. The new link for the Q&A here. Let's just pop this up. We want more housing exteriors, Yoshi P says. After we're done with 7.0, there are so many graphic updates we need to touch that we couldn't get to the new exterior designs yet. They add more hats for Viera, and he says, we're working to adjust the system for Viera and Hrothgar. Wearing headgear, please wait patiently. I think that's been the answer for a while, but it's, we've seen them roll it out. I remember we went to the last media tour, and I was like, hey guys, like I'm a Hroth, and I have the headgear's being displayed. This is great, but it's not a, instant on kind of thing. Making 2 dyeable slots for gear seems like a lot of work. Is it fine on the memory end? And Yoshi P says the programmers and designers are doing their best. I have more to show during the next FanFest, so please wait a bit more. So this FanFest should show off more of that dyeing system for you dyers out there. Yoshida, I need more inventory space. They're working to increase the slots in your house. This is a priority right now, but they'll keep it improving. They say, I don't have enough glam plates. Is there, and there's going to be new jobs and all. Please add more plates. And he says, similar to inventory, this is on the list, but not a.
It would not be flawless, but if they could just make it a habit of just add 1 per job. Yeah, I can see reasons to have more than that for sure. But if we could just add a minimum, have 1 per job, especially if that counted your crafters and gatherers, because not everybody is true omni, because I find that like it's really frustrating for crafters and gatherers not to have it, because they come out with such great glam for them, and they are almost always in an area where their glam can update for crafters. So like it feels like a missed opportunity to have these really great crafter sets and not be able to take advantage of them fully without feeling really tight on plates.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is a great answer and to the question. Add more features that render your character model with priority, please. And he says, you guys know if we did that, we'd be drowned in complaints telling us that we're putting our effort into the wrong things. That in and of itself is like, you kind of do feel like if you're damned if you do, damned if you don't in certain things. Everybody has a favorite Pokemon. Everybody has the thing that they're itching that will get added to the game, and every time it's not that thing, it does feel like you're getting ignored. This was player driven questions over on in Limbs de la Menza. Yoshi P went for his stroll. Let's see here. I really like Eureka Boja. Really looking forward to the next big field content in Dawntrail. He says, thank you. Please look forward to it. Can you do something about the lunchbox MCHs are carrying around their hips? Those lunchboxes are filled with love. We can't remove them. The lifelong memory when they cleared E8S with you doing one of your walks with Yoshi P streams. He says, once the 7.0 development has calmed down a little bit, I will come back to do more Savage raiding with you guys. Yoshi P, I am kind of a cat person. He says, unfortunately, I like wolves. And then he says, I am terrible at jumping puzzles. How can I improve? He says, turn your camera into the direction you're jumping to and work on the precision and not the speed. Speed will come naturally. And our final question, please add more options to character creation. He says that will be sometime after the graphics
That makes sense.
update.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right. Get everything onto the new structure first, and then that way you're not creating even more things that have to be updated. So like, because at least right now it's a finite number. Don't keep adding to it. Yeah, great. That's awesome.
Yeah. All good stuff
Yeah.
there.
And then my Final Fantasy goals.
Yeah.
Maintain Omni within Dawntrail.
That's a and that with 2 more jobs like that, just I do not have that goal.
Maintain Omni. And then I'm caught up on lore. I feel great. So this year I'd like to start on the next version of A Realm Revoiced. Gaming Lore kind of has gone back to publishing kind of the previous version. The next version is larger, bigger, better, faster. And there's some things about not being full-time that I can afford to take some bigger investments in it, knowing that lore content within Final Fantasy does not pay back like monetarily, but that doesn't have to be a consideration. It wasn't always like when I was full-time, it wasn't the driving factor, but it was always in the room. And now it doesn't have to be in the room. Like I could lose money on content. Like it doesn't matter. So if I have to like pay an artist to help me and then that's not what I make in ad revenue, it like that's a decision I can look at. And before it was like, okay, but then what do I tell the bank when the mortgage is due? So like there was like a real question of like, okay, I have 10 things I can make and 3 of them are not profitable. So like, let's take a look at the other 7 so that I can afford to pay my bills. And so that'll be nice. And then this year I would like to make 2 pieces of fan art that I can share. One Final Fantasy related and one WoW related. Just because they're such different universes. And so I'd like to try my hand at that. The Final Fantasy one will be the map. And so I'd like to release that this year. The WoW one, I'm still not totally nailed down on. So that's kind of my plan. As far as fitness goes, I want to run 1,000 miles this year.
1,000 miles. That's impressive.
I'm at 6.2 and I have not done today's run. Today's run will be 6. So that will put me at 12.2.
What's that average out? Like you talked, we looked at my weight at loss and an average 3 miles a day.
Yeah, a little less. Okay.
Nice. Very nice.
But I like right now I'm not running on Mondays. And then it was a 5K for Tuesday, a 5K for Wednesday, 6 today, 9 tomorrow, 9 on Saturday, 5 on Sunday, off on Monday. So like at the pace I am right now, I should blow through it. But in reality, like we all know when you're looking at annual goals, like don't predict that based on the first week of January. Like if I get injured and I miss a month, suddenly that number becomes really hard to hit. So it's my first time having a running goal like that. I have yet to find the joy in running. Like I'm looking for it, but like there are all these people that talk about runners' highs and this serenity and this peace.
Dude,
I love running.
Yeah,
Ryan says all the time.
I am looking forward to when I'm below 250 pounds because I don't want that pressure on my knees. So I'm looking forward to getting back into the run.
I started paying a coach to help me kind of plan out my workouts, and the only thing that makes running enjoyable is days when I see swimming on the calendar. And that's only because it's better than swimming. I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. It hurts. And especially right now when it's cold and wet and windy and a lot of times dark, I have yet to find the joy in it, but I enjoy, right. If I run for 8 hours this week, then the other 160 hours like are just so much better because of it. Yeah. Like I feel more attentive. I sleep better. I feel like I'm sharper at work. I feel just healthier. I feel like my stress levels are better balanced, which makes me a better husband and friend and like all these things. And so like, I think I'm a better me if I'm willing to give those 8 hours up to something that has yet to really be something that I look forward to.
Yeah. Now chat's asking, in terms of that, are you also playing the Season of Discovery in World of Warcraft?
I did try to invite some friends to that to see if they could bait me into it, because I don't really have time, but I was like, but I could make time if there's friends. And I couldn't
Yeah.
find any that would commit. So I'm going to sit this first season out, but I have been watching it. So while I do other things, like I'm doing my stretching at night, I've been watching like Llama Todd on both his hardcore journey in AQ and stuff. I just lurk in chat. Unless he asks a question that like literally nobody is answering. That's the only time I reach out for the keyboard. But he's got a really devout group of WoW fans that have kind of risen up to help educate him on that side, which I think is really neat to see. And then like I've been watching some Season of Discovery content. It is so cool. It is such a cool idea. It makes me wonder if that would be the answer for either 1.0 or 11 or one day in the future when A Realm Reborn feels way too distant in the past, especially because new players, if they choose to keep 2.0 mandatory and they don't give us a skip to just say you start after the Heidelin Zodiac Saga and you come in on like a bypass and you merge in with us, unless they do something like that, it's going to get to where 2.0 just feels like a desert. And I think that some sort of Season of Discovery, especially if they could integrate it in a live way, very, 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 very cool. For anybody that doesn't know what that is and is a Final Fantasy fan and doesn't have any interest in WoW, but just wonders like what they did that people are kind of excited about. What they did is they launched their classic servers. We all heard about that. And Yoshi P rolled his eyes like that he would never do that for Final Fantasy. And it doesn't really make sense in the same way. Then people played through it, and they played through it at a faster pace, and they progressed, and it became its own thing, and it is now a separate product line. But then there was a question of, okay, well, if it's faster, it's eventually going to catch up with the present. So do we just keep rehitting restart and it's just a ladder and it just gets faster and faster and there's really nothing new? And they said no. They went back and they relaunched Classic again. This is now the third time. It launched as vanilla, it launched as Classic, and now it's launched as Season of Discovery. But this time they are coming at it from the angle of what if we were today's dev environment with today's knowledge, but we reinvented the game that's in 2004. So we're talking, what if we did new dungeons? What if we did new raids? What if we did new items or new changes to classes? They have a class system called runes. And so like, what if Final Fantasy got relaunched with sub jobs and what if dungeons were what if there were twice as many dungeons? Yes. What if there were twice as many raids, or there was an additional alliance raid, or there was Savage from the get-go in its current definition? What if that was there for Coil? And like, what if Coil was rebalanced the way today's raids are, where there was a normal Coil and then a Savage Coil? And so like going back and doing that, and it comes with a lot of caveats. In order for them to develop this, part of it is the discovery. So they've done very little beta testing. They don't let people in. And that means they've said, if it's not balanced, it's not balanced. We'll do our best to correct outliers as we go, but this is about fun first. This is about getting back to feeling like you can just log in, relax, and explore the world. And if we get something wrong, we get something wrong. It's mostly about fun. And so I think it's been really neat to see people that want that. Maybe they are on retail and they're in a raid group and they take that very seriously and they expect everything to be balanced, but they can hop into Season of Discovery. And I've seen people who have always kind of not really understood the more casual side of the community. And I see them going, we're just gonna do some stuff tonight. Like, we're just gonna play, we're just gonna hang out. And like, it's so cool. So I don't know what that would look like for Final Fantasy. But Season of Discovery,
I mean, you hit it like right
so
out of the park. I'd say it's like, I agree with you. Like, imagine if they had, hey, here's sub jobs and here's how that system works now. It's all like, starting from the scratch. And then the thing would be really cool to see is that if they took their concepts of like Boja, Eureka, etc., and they're like, that's the open world, like you can go and you can be overpowered and destroy things if you want, but there is all these other things that are kind of all at play, here, and that would be phenomenal. That would be
chapters, my dream. Right now it just does 1 to 15, and in 6 months we're going to add 15 to 30.
Is that covered under the same WoW subscription?
I think so. Okay. I think once Blizzard has $15 a month from you, I don't think they care. I think the bigger issue has been access to servers, because the popularity on it has been
so overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a New World season. Like it is. Anybody who's interested in WoW at all has looked at Season Discovery and at least considered it. Maybe they said no, maybe it wasn't for them, but I think at least initially, like just getting onto the servers to try it had a lot of people. Like it was was impossible. Mama Todd was trying to create a guild over there, and people were like, "Oh, I'll log on for you." He goes, "No, I need people who are already on. Like, if you're in chat and you're hearing this as a request to log on, don't like that's not, you can't help me. You're 10 hours from hopping on."
Well, that's like, like when New World's expansion released, it's like, yeah, I don't feel like fighting the queues because our server is generally on the popular side. So it's like I've been just diving back into New World over the holidays and going into 2024, and it's been phenomenal because it's like, yeah, I don't have to wait in this queue time. Finished the expansion story, been working on the new seasonal story, been running the expeditions with people, and it is a blast. So I have a new build that is just like crushing for me right now, life staff and flail, and I'm like, this is great. Like, I can't wait to see what they have. They've outlined their goals up to May 2024, and they like, the only thing that I just really get frustrated at, and I understand why, is they're worried because they did miss things for season 4 that we're still waiting on for the like updated group cross realm dungeon finder, etc. And so like all that we're waiting for, but then like they don't want to go and tell us about all of 2024, so they're willing to commit to this is what they're going to make for all the way up to May. And then after May, like, who knows, but May should be a big reveal where we get the next expansion. And I'm expecting, whether it launches on console this year or not, that they announce that it is coming to console this year. And I think that will be really cool to see, for that franchise.
I'm sure they can see further out than May. I think that they probably have a lot of projects on the table and are saying, we don't know which ones to focus on, and we're waiting on feedback.
Yeah.
Because the one thing I have seen from that team is they have been very feedback driven. And so whether or not people feel heard, it does seem like they're trying to listen to all the voices that are shouting in the void.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make sense of what the best direction is forward. And so it feels like, maybe they say, okay, well, we thought this was what we would do in August, but
yeah,
maybe we kick that out to January because there's something in January that it seems like people want more urgently. And we should move that up. So it's great. I will say, like, roadmaps feels like the big shift over the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
That has helped, not just the things we thought it would help, right? The people who watch patch notes and all of that, but like, I think it's even, I always thought of it as something that the hardcore fans really wanted and needed, but especially for games that are asking for battle passes or subscriptions or something like that, some sort of monetary commitment to come back and play a character that you already invested time in, and that's part of the value. It feels like something that the more casual players maybe deserved. Like, the hardcore fans, they've already gotten it. Like, they're like, oh, I deserve more. It's like, you got 1,000 hours of joy. Like, chill.
Right.
But like the casual fans, like it feels like
I
such
played
a
this game for 15,000 hours, and how dare this game not give me another 15,000 hours of the same joy.
22,000 anymore. It's like, okay.
I saw some fun from some fun Starfield reviews. They're like, after 1,000 hours, this game sucks. And it's like, I think that's the natural course of it. After 1,000 hours. Okay. For a single player game,
it sounds like sometimes after 85 years, even just regular life kind of wears thin. Like, sometimes just things eventually wear out.
Exactly.
22 hours, whatever. But yes, I think that it's been really nice for casual fans to better predict where to spend their time. And so like the roadmaps have just been a much broader impact than I think I would have personally seen. And I'd love to see that be a mainstay. Final Fantasy did one, World of Warcraft's been doing them, New World's doing them, Guild Wars been doing them. And so it feels like that's becoming kind of an industry standard.
Yeah, and I think it'll be interesting to see if Final Fantasy XIV kind of follows suit, because I feel like they actually, without releasing a roadmap, have been a roadmap where you're at FanFest and you're like, here are the dates, here's what's going on. And someone's like, how do you possibly know this? And it's like, because they are so consistent that it is easy to predict what is to come. And the downside for that is that there's not the greatest opportunity for surprise. But when we looked at Yoshi P's kind of questions and answers, that's nice that he's giving those answers, especially, the line, please look forward to it. Like, obviously both a staple and a meme. But then you start to sit here and say, like, the roadmap it helps communicate expectation, because we see that no matter what, I feel like the drama in any gaming community boils up is to when the expectation and the realities they come crashing together and they're just wildly different. And so that's where, like, when WoW started doing it, I was like, that's interesting. Let's see if they keep it up. But I think it was also about them reestablishing that trust bank to say, hey, we hear you. This is what is on the roadmap. We're working on that. Hey, we did deliver that. So then all of a sudden you're like, oh, they've released the new roadmap. And then what they do, and like what New World does, and I think, what you still want to do is that, yeah, you've released your roadmap, but there's still some surprises along the way. There's still some stuff that you're like, oh,
and you have to
cool.
do them. You have to do the things on the roadmap. You have to. We knew Bobby was going to leave.
Yes.
But some part of us was like, but what if he doesn't?
What if he doesn't?
And we knew that there would be leadership changes and they would bring on people we could trust. But will they? We knew that they were going to try to invest in Classic and invest in retail, but would they? And they have. And so, like, the saying part, like when they just say the roadmap, it is important, but only because it comes with action. The saying part on its own is really cheap. To put together a roadmap and say, like, this is what I'm going to do this year. It's why when you said, like, my goal is to invest in quality, my first question was, what does that look like? Because it's really easy to just say, yeah, I'm just gonna be better this year. How? Like, what actions,
measurable?
What actions are you taking? And if
what time frame?
How will we verify that you are either on pace or need to make an adjustment? I'm not saying if you hit 49, you're a failure, but like, it's 49 versus 52. It's not 49 versus I wanted to do more. Like, it's like, let's sit down and you said, like, it's going to be these video essays and they're meant to take the amount of time that 2 discussions would have taken. And so, like, that starts to be something that is like, okay, well, we can go back and look at what discussion videos looked like and look at these essays. And it starts to be easier. I want to do 1,000 miles. That's a trackable thing.
Right.
You immediately ask,
measurable.
How many miles per day is that? Like, is that something that is achievable? Okay, that's about 3 miles a day. Cool. And I can say, okay, I've already done 2 5Ks this week.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like
you're on track. You're on pace.
Do it.
Yeah. I've actually, like, from the video game essay perspective, like, I've already, like, been implementing that throughout December. So hopefully people who follow and watch my content have hopefully seen that level of increase and then what I'm targeting for the videos themselves. It doesn't necessarily mean they're longer. It's just like there's just more depth. That's the hope, is that there's just like these are videos that have a lot more staying power rather than like, oh, this is what's going on, in terms of like this discussion that's happening online. Like, to be able to kind of really use my levels of expertise as a software engineer, as a dad, in certain cases. So that's the goal. But yeah, we'll see, because the nice thing that I've, like, when I look at the multi-channel approach that I've taken with certain games and content, it's always like there's so many interesting perspectives, and it allows for me to do a lot more, I think, interesting things, because, like, I don't have to post about Blue Protocol every day for the algorithm, to not, miss. And so whenever I do, the algorithm is like, oh, people like Blue Protocol. Here's the latest, Ginger Prime video about Blue Protocol. It pushes it out there and it gets the level of engagement. So it's really nice to see that health on the breakout channels, where variety on Prime is still always going to be a thing. It's like, I'll have videos that just do really, really well, and then I'll have a video not do so well. And it's always funny. Someone would come in and be like, this guy's got almost 80,000 subscribers and I'm the first to comment. And I was like, yeah, man, thanks for commenting. But I was like, yeah, this is a topic that this is a game that I haven't ever talked about before. The algorithm was like, nope.
Yeah. I think the big note of what, you just went over a lot of things there, but I think the big note as far as like roadmaps go is the first part you said, where it's a small step. It's something you've already been doing. So like the roadmap for WoW, the very first roadmap looked a lot like, okay, so you're just doing more of the stuff you've been doing, but faster.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like a lot of times these big leaps, if you actually zoom in, it's a gentle step from one cliff to another. Like there's they're not leaping over a canyon bravely. They've worked really hard to bring those cliffs together, and now they're just casually stepping down. And so you're making that achievable. The goal is measurable and the goal is achievable. It may be lofty, but like there is evidence. I'm not aiming for 1,000 miles my first time ever running. I'm aiming for 1,000 miles after 2 years of weight loss, after 2 years of bringing fitness into my life. In the last 2 years, I have gone from can't run a mile, 40 pounds heavier than I am right now, not sleeping well, not eating well, to all of those things are corrected. And so the 1,000 miles, if you told me at the beginning I was supposed to do 1,000 miles in a year, I would have told you like, then I don't want to get started. Like I can't do that. And now I'm like, no, I think this is really achievable. And in addition to the 1,000 miles, I still want to do my Murph this year. I want to do 2 triathlons this year. Like it's not even only the 1,000 miles. I just bought a new bike.
Yay. Congrats on that.
The new job, I will tell you, like I will always owe an immense gratitude to this community for supporting me in full-time content creation. And the fact that I could do it was incredible. And I hope to get back to it. And we have some savings goals that would allow me to, you know, at the end of this job, go back to it. That's the current plan. I have a date in mind, but I don't want to say it out loud. But I have a date in mind that I think I can hit my savings goals and kind of have my retirement on track, and I can come back to it. But relying on the generosity of others
for retirement
makes it for retirement specifically, not just for day in,
not
day
for
out.
the day to day. It's like, how do you
setting aside for when I'm older, you know, and have health issues and whatever, is hard. And now
imagine not being able to sit in a chair for,
I'm contributing my 401k right now, and I got a new bike, and I got, you know, so like that's been really nice. I know that's such a little thing. One of the other content.
It's an important thing. It's something I've been trying to encourage a lot more, you know, people that, you know, listen to the videos is get out of debt, guys, save for retirement. You know, like in last year, 2023, great year for gaming, the industry, lots of layoffs. There's people frustrated about that, but the reality is that layoffs will happen. Like you will lose your job. So don't sit here and think that you're like, oh, my job's safe.
Mortgage was tight. And like, it's amazing that this community was generous enough that I never missed a payment. I wasn't in debt any last year, but there were definitely some months where it was close. And savings was the only thing that, you know, there were some months where savings was being dipped into from previous months to kind of carry me through. And now, you know, and I'm aware that like our standard of living, because it's, you know, we live in the United States, and I have fiber internet, and I have a house. And so like, there are ways to live cheaper than I do. But, you know, I also making my own food. I don't drive anywhere. So like, it's not like I'm living high either. But now, like, my wife's had a birthday since I got this job, and we just went out to dinner, and like, we just picked a place she wanted to go, and I didn't check the menu for prices first. And like, that was nice. It wasn't crazy expensive, but like it wasn't. And we went on a night and a time that we could get their happy hour prices. So like, we're still being careful, but it was nice to not fret. Like when the bill came, it was $37, and that was no big deal. And some of you may say, I think $37 is a lot for a date. And some of you may say, Chris, why was $37 ever a question? But you know, everybody's somewhere different, and it's just really, so I'll tell you that part's nice about the new job is that like, I don't have to guess at all. Like I know exactly when the paycheck arrives, and I know exactly what it's going to hit for.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Oh, wow. Like, I guess we got to, they have integrated Twitter chat, and Rooster says some of what Chris is saying is hard isn't in gaming more, and he's into knitting, but I'm not saying. So have you taken up knitting, Chris?
I've taken up knitting. No. Do you know what thing I've been consuming a ridiculous amount of content on?
What
is, I don't own any of this. And my wife has made it clear that I will not own any of this, but she very rarely has an opinion on my hobbies. But I have consumed I started with Boy Lie Hobby Time, which I mentioned on our last show. And I have delved into like a whole genre of model railroading.
Ooh.
And like, I cannot
and that just leads to Trump videos. Which is like is a way to
I don't know why that leads to Trump. So I don't know what's going on in model railroading right now, that like political debate and discourse on the rule of law is pivotal. But maybe that's what started it. But like, I have consumed a ridiculous amount of model railroading content, and diorama content. And what it makes me frustrated is I have put the search terms in a million times. There's no one making consistent content on dioramas from like Final Fantasy or Warcraft. There are a handful, and the videos pop up from time to time, but like, it's 50 videos for the last 2 years across all of YouTube that I can find. And I've already seen them all twice. So like, there's not somebody publishing every Friday an update on their, you know, Ishgard themed build. Like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And I just want to consume that. So if any of you have like been working on 3D printing all of Querthos or something, please post. like, I'm ready.
And let them know.
Like, we'll only get 8 views. Yeah, and 2 of them are going to be me. I'm going to watch that thing twice.
Oh, it's so funny. Thank you guys for watching over here on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, wherever the hell we are, on X in this case. That's awesome that they now have chat integrated with this platform, which is fun to see. If you guys enjoyed the show, be sure to hit a like button. If you are watching this as a VOD and we're no longer live, sound off in the comments. Just say, I guess notification crew or woohoo, VOD squad. There we go. Sound off with
here.
Can't believe I'm still here.
Hour and 10 minutes into these guys guessing if it's Friday or Saturday.
It's Saturday. I might do we might just stream a little bit tomorrow anyway, just for the something happened. But yeah, man, this is gonna be fun. Chris, you got any parting thoughts, any final thoughts before we wrap today's show up?
No, Happy New Year's, guys. Like, it doesn't have to be that time that you say, I'm going to do this every day, and then you just give up. It is a great time to reflect back on one of the guys at work. I asked him what his plans were for the new year, and he, during the last week of the year before we all took time, and he said, he goes, actually, I try really hard not to focus on the new year until I've finished being thankful for the last year. And he goes, so once I have everything done for the year, which for him is usually summertime between December 23rd and 28th, he goes, there's usually a couple days left over that I've done everything I need to do, and there's nothing left to do. And I really just try to look back and be glad at the triumphs I had, and glad at the successes I had, and glad at those that I care about and the successes they've had. And I thought that was really healthy. So if you guys haven't done that, you should look back at where you've been over the last 12 to 18 months and what's gone well, and see if that's something that can help you kind of focus on what else can go well moving forward. It really helped me kind of get my head around what I want to go well in 2024, because I did not achieve all my 2023 goals. Some of it because things outside of my control happened, and some of it because I can just be lazy and procrastinate and just come up with excuses. So it was really nice to look back and say, okay, but like 2023 wasn't a dud. Like there was a lot of things that went well, and 2024 can have that too.
Absolutely.
Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hopefully you guys all had and enjoyed today's show. We'll be with you guys this Saturday. So if you guys want to come hang out with us for the FanFest Tokyo keynote address and get our thoughts, we'll do a pre-show and then we'll go into the main show as well. So hopefully we'll see you then. This stream should technically redirect to that. So if you guys have been following along any period of time, note that you can hit that notify and etc., or consider jumping into the Discord so that way you can get pinged when these videos and these live streams go live as well. So lots of stuff. The happiest New Year, guys. I hope you help. I hope your goals and dreams are things to come true this year. And if there's anything we could ever do for you guys have done so much for us. So please let us know. Anyway, for Work to Game, we will see you next time.